Louisiana Beer Review Special Edition, Samuel Adams Boston Lager Revisited. So, we're looking at it again. The last time I did a solo review, this was 2016. Alright, so the famous Boston Lager from 1985. I first tried it in 1996. 30 bitterness units, 5% alcohol. They change the label quite often. So you could just keep collecting Samuel Adams bottles and cans. And on the website, they're showing when they show the beer, they feature a 24-ounce can, which I've never seen. Best by date is March of 2023. This is brewed in Boston, Massachusetts, Cincinnati, Ohio, and Breinigsville, Pennsylvania. Samuel Adams 2-row pale malt blend. Caramel 60, those are the two malt varieties. Tettnanger and Hallertau Mittelfrüh are the two noble hops. This really got craft beer popular. This is like the main beer that got it popular. I'm not saying Anchor Steam didn't have something to do with it. It did, and Sierra Nevada Pale Ale certainly, but I think this was the main one, you know, independent craft brewer. When I first tried this in 96, some other big craft beers were Pete's Wicked Ale, Abita Amber Lager, and Abita Golden. There was Dixie Crimson Voodoo and Blackened Voodoo. Those were some big ones. There was something called Simpatico, which was from Minnesota. That didn't last. That was really good. We had Rick and Jack's. But those weren't big. But I mean, Abita, Blackened Voodoo, and Crimson Voodoo were big around here. And Abita Turbo Dog, Abita Amber Lager, and their Golden, Abita Golden. Samuel Adams Boston Lager, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. And Anchor Steam Beer. Okay, those were the big ones. And the biggest was the Samuel Adams Boston Lager. And I had people telling me, I tried this stuff, it's terrible, terrible. And there was a guy named Ron, who only drank Dixie beer and, what he used to drink? Dixie beer and Bud Light, I think. He gave me this old can down here of Bud Ice from 1995. He drank out of this can. He just kept it. Just the old serrated cans, the original Bud Light design, Bud Ice design. I don't know why he wanted me to go to his house in Monts, Louisiana, and he said, I want you to have this can. And I kept it since 96. Okay. Nice creamy head. Now by the time I started buying Bud Ice, the year he gave me that can, they had already gone to the modern label. The first modern label, the blue and the red. Blue with red trim. The Samuel Adams seemed like about every 2 years they changed the label, but every 2 years. And I had some old bottles, but they faded just from, I didn't have them in direct sunlight. They just, well, in the light. I don't keep the house dark constantly. And I'm careful about turning off lights. And I was raised during the ecology era, which I guess we're still in, but now it's the more extreme era. Okay, but it was more reasonable in the 70s. Copper. Okay, let's go with the aroma. Not much aroma, really. Not a whole lot going on here. I hate to say that, but that's the truth. All right, let's go with the taste. It's a really balanced beer. You get the sweetness, like 2.5 out of 5 sugar cubes. The bitterness, 3 out of 5 hop cones. Medium bodied, pretty carbonated, prickly carbonation, crisp finish. You get white bread crust and the flavor. Now, I drink a lot of regular beers, okay? Like I just bought a 30 pack of natural ice. Why do I buy that? It's relatively inexpensive. Relatively inexpensive. And it has a good flavor to me. And I enjoy it. And the calories are low. But I have a lot of experience with regular American beers. And not to mention from other countries like Thailand, Singa, right? Okay, but this Boston Lager, it has a richer flavor. And I can see why it was such a wowzer in 1985. Of course, in '85, you only had a handful of people drinking it. By 1995, a lot of people were discovering it. Started seeing lots of television commercials for it, and then by that time, the craft beer, or they called it back then, microbrew, was getting really big. And then there was a bit of a crash in '96, right when I started the beer tasting hobby, and a lot of the original companies either got crippled or went away immediately. Then it built back up with better, at first better companies, and then but now it's flooded again with a lot of inferior stuff. But Samuel Adams keeps, Boston, Samuel Adams Boston Beer Company. The Boston Beer Company keeps going strong. They're not as expansive as they used to be. Like years ago, they were putting out a lot more like real interesting craft beers like Fat Jack, pumpkin beer, and then they had the imperial version. They had a Samuel Adams Doppelbock and a imperial white ale and an imperial stout, I think they had, and those were in those expensive 4-packs. But it was like Blue Moon. They were putting out all kind of stuff too, and then I guess they found that a lot of it was sitting on the shelf. So now Samuel Adams just say, okay, we'll just put out more ordinary stuff that does a little better. It's less expensive to produce. That's my impression. So now I bought this new Cheers for Beers pack, whatever it's called. I think it's Cheers for Beers winter pack, and they have the Boston Lager, of course. You're always going to see that in the pack. And then there's 5 other flavors. The dark lager, which I hadn't seen for years. The winter lager, which I see every year, even in 12 packs. The Old Fezziwig, which is always good. White Christmas, now called White Holiday White Ale, stupid reasons. Can't say Christmas. It might offend 4 people in the world. And then there's the new cold IPA. But those variety packs usually don't have very challenging flavors. And I'm not saying craft beer has to be challenging, but you know what I mean? They just like kind of regular, ordinary flavors. And then they kind of like decided, well, we'll just be like Shiner and Harpoon and Abita and all those other Bells, even sometimes like that. And I guess it's working because look like a lot of people buy Samuel Adams. Not an enormous amount, but a steady number. I think they make it more with their seltzers and Twisted Tea, though, really. Twisted Tea is huge. This is also certified kosher, if you need to know that. Most people wouldn't notice that little K inside of a star. But I try to keep an eye for detail, just so I give the best information. Do we get cans around here? I don't ever see cans anymore. We did get them in convenience stores for a while, the pint cans, like there, but really I only see bottles. Usually never in convenience stores, just grocery stores, so beer stores. So Score, yeah, it's still an A. Maybe like A minus, like 91 out of 100. Not most excellent, just excellent. 91, because there's a little blandness to it. But that's from experience. I've tasted so many things. When I first tried it, I was like, yeah, this is what I like. Why does that guy hate it? What's wrong with him? But anyway, still 91 is a great score, is it not? A minus. So Laissez Le Bon Temps Relais, a classic. And I'm going to end this review by saying y'all go to one of the Boston Beer Company breweries and take a tour.